after her feature in the extremely popular Humans of New York photo blog. Back in February of 2015, Milner Tierre Taylor experienced a frenzy of social media activity and growing interest in her handcrafted hats. I caught up with her in the midst of that activity.
My name is Tierre Taylor, and I'm living in Toronto, Ontario, Canada right now.
Now, what were you doing in New York the day that you were approached by Brandon of Humans of New York?
Yes, I was actually just meeting my cousin for brunch. He lives there.
And were you just kind of waiting for him, or?
Yeah. Yep, that's exactly it. I was just sitting there in Penn Station, New York, waiting for him. Simple as that.
Now, how did Brandon approach you? Did he kind of watch you for a while, or did you notice him, or before he noticed you, or?
No, it was just he was just walking by, and then he just came up to me and he introduced himself. So it was just kind of a pass by type of thing, and very just easy, just came up to me and introduced who he was, and then asked if he could take my picture and interview me.
Did you know who he was, or did you know what Humans of New York was before you spoke to him?
Actually, no, I didn't, and I admitted that to him. He told me where he was, coming from with the Humans of New York, and that he had a lot of followers, but I hadn't heard of the blog at that time.
So, in your interview with Brandon, what was posted on his Facebook page, you were quoted as saying, I wish I could sell my hat unapologetically. Whenever someone compliments my hat, I only say thank you. And you said, I wish I was bold enough to say, here I am, this is what I do. What did you mean by that, and why so timid about your craft?
Well, I guess the introduction question was, what is one of my bigger challenges right now? And I had just moved to Toronto a couple months ago, and was looking to expand my millinery business. But I've always come up against this hurdle of being able to self-promote and to share my work. I'm passionate about it. I love doing it, but I don't want to intrude on anyone. I don't want to kind of come off as salesy or trying to push something. And so I tend to want to hold back and just take the compliment as a really nice thing. But, stepping forward even more, and by saying, this is my work, and it's actually something that you can purchase, like that. That's always been something that really frightens me, maybe because there's a bit more vulnerability in that. But, so he was basically just asking me what my main challenge was, and I do still find that as a challenge, the idea of promoting oneself, because it's easier just to kind of hang out and create things than it is to kind of step out into the world and to reveal it.
Humans of New York has over 12 million followers. How quickly did the emails and the phone calls start coming in, and how are you feeling about all this attention?
Things started to come in really quickly. So as soon as the post went up, that first initial day, I probably had the largest exponential kind of rise in my likes, my Facebook likes and Instagram, that type of thing. But it did kind of trickle out over a few days in terms of people still liking things. But it was really right when it was posted that got the most attention. I've never had, of course, as much attention ever, and never even imagined it, to be honest with you. I tend to my tendency, of course, is to, when people, interact with me, I want to be fully present and be able to respond properly. So I've found it a little bit overwhelming because, of course, I want to be able to get back to everyone. I want to be able to acknowledge these really amazing and kind, loving support that I'm receiving. So, of course, I'm extremely grateful and, couldn't be more appreciative of the fact that I have now seen how much people are interested in my work. But, there's an overwhelm aspect to that, too.
Let's talk a bit about your training as a milliner. Did you study this? Did you go to school? Is it something you've always done growing up? How did you get started?
Well, I was doing textile. I was basically doing textile arts for ages, like since I was in my teens, but I varied a lot in what I was doing, and I did felting, and I tried weaving for a while, and I was sewing and all these types of things. And I'm always looking to learn new skills, new crafts. So I did come across a millinery course when I was living in Toronto the last time. It was through George Brown College. I did take some classes with them, and for some reason it just absolutely struck a chord with me, and I became very passionate about making hats. That was about just over 6 years ago. So once I had taken that initial course, I kind of just dropped almost everything else, and aside from some felting, and really pursued it wholeheartedly. So I did a lot of self-training and, experimentation on my own. And then just recently, last June, I felt like I just needed to upgrade my skills a little bit, push my thoughts on design and expand things. And so I ended up going down studying with a milliner who's just outside of New York, and her name's Anya Caliendo. And she was a really great mentor to me.
Okay, so what is your inspiration for your hats? They, I think they're really cool, looking very vintage. How would you describe them?
Well, I love vintage shapes and the elegance of which women were trying to portray at that time. Like they were just, it's exceptional. And so I'm always, of course, looking to the past for inspirations, of course. But, I still want things to be relevant in the current day and for people to feel like it's still something they can throw on with jeans or a jacket and be more street wearable. So I'm kind of always looking to combine those two, hints of the past where elegance and sophistication really reigned, but how can a modern woman still pull off styles and not feel like, she's being overly costumey, that type of thing.
Now, where can your hats be purchased, and what's the typical price range?
So I'm right now building an online store, so they're going to be available in the next short while. But since I've been in transition in my own life, I haven't had anything up to this point. So people are just going to have to really be patient with me, which is unfortunate, and kind of wait till I get that online store up. I do custom orders as well, so people can contact me directly in terms of that. But what was the last part of that question? Where can you get it? Oh, what's the price range?
Yeah, what's the price range?
Okay, so probably you're looking at like $175 and up type thing.
Okay.
It really depends on materials and shape and all that type of thing.
So what's up next for you and your business? How do you plan on keeping up with demand? I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of demand.
Yeah, that's the burning question right now, right? So this is my plan, and we'll just, obviously we'll have to be adapted as we go along, because honestly I feel like just this humble little milliner who's just, wants to please everybody, of course. But I guess what I'm going to do is I'm looking for a studio space right now, something a little bit bigger where I can get a bit of help in there. So help with sewing and then kind of help with some administration so that I can be assisted in it. My main priority, of course, is keeping the hats, all really good quality, all hand stitched, so everything, standards are still going to really remain high, but I probably will need a bit of assistance. And then start through the online store and in requests from people, just kind of ship out from there.
Okay, that was great. Is there anything you want to add that you want people to know about you and about your hats?
Well, I just kind of, if any, not necessarily even my hats, but I just encourage exploration when it comes to hat styles. Like a lot of times people feel really timid when it comes to the hat world, like they feel like they can't find the style that suits them, or something that it can be a bit frightening because there's a statement aspect to it. But I just really want to encourage people to feel like they can be playful with it, try things on, figure out what really suits them, and go out into the world with a little bit more boldness and courage to wear them. Because I think a lot of people want to, but feel a little bit intimidated about doing so.
That's great. I'm one of those people. I love
I
your
know.
hats, and I do have I have like a couple of vintage hats I wear from time to time, but I do personally feel a little self-conscious sometimes. But
I know, but you know what it is? Like, that's the thing. Like, so many people feel that way, right? But honestly, once you get over that hurdle, like if you wear one or two out, it becomes there's way more ease around it after that. And yes, you might get noticed a little bit more, but usually it's with appreciation. Like, rarely, I have had so many, before any of all the stuff like that, but oftentimes when I wear a piece out, people will just appreciate it. They'll just be like, oh, that's really nice. Like, I really appreciate the fact that you're wearing something that's like that, or, it reminds me of this. Like, people love it. And so it's just taking that initial step. Like, you just push yourself out the door, and you'll find that it's just no problem at all.
thank you so much for talking to me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. I'm Tierre Taylor, and this is Yepster.